Welcome, my friends. This is Maniacal Incorporated. We continue on with the adventures of Eoin the Theologian. He had been slowly making his way towards Rome, but he has now come up against a wall of Cathar heresy in the Frankish Empire. He has withdrawn back to Brittany. It's his first visit to Brittany. This is the kingdom which was dragged into the Frankish Empire by the Cathar Emperor, and it then spearheaded a war to install the Catholic Judith on the Frankish Empire. That has been a success. However, the only major problem there is that Judith's heir is her Cathar heretic son. So Eoin has withdrawn to Brittany to regroup and prepare. He's waiting news that the plague that has struck Wessex has come to an end and he will be returning to Wessex. I suppose the location of his greatest victory, the conversion of the King of Wessex to Insularism, and he will be returning back there after he fights a bit of corruption for the King of Brittany. It's entirely possible that the Cathar menace is actually beginning to strike at Brittany. The peasants flout the Empress's authority, and Eoin has offered to deal with them. I don't think the camp is really close, so we don't need to actually move the camp. Now, I'm not going to lie, I thought we were dealing with a peasant rebellion here in this region. We're actually travelling way down the coast, which means that we are converting quite a lot of people. And as we do so, Adela de Villiers wants to hunt a rabbit. We don't have time for this. We'll gain some stress because we're arrogant. And maybe we should have killed that rabbit because we've now ran out of food. The locals must have something. And we have arrived just in time to round up the worst of the rabble-rousers. We demand that they explain themselves. And Gonzal, a peasant of some reputation, speaks for the rest. They fear for the safety of their children, with the Cathar menace that's spreading across the country. No doubt you do. We have a 56% chance to succeed on a martial challenge. Now, Eoin does not wield an army, but he does wield the force of God. And we are off on the way again to our next location, which isn't too far away. And Savray, a member of our camp, has been nicknamed the Stranger. We have another chance. I think it's the exact same peasant. Is this dude just following us around? I think we'll have about 6 camps to make for in total, so it's mostly around this region. Eoin has left his camp behind in Brittany. We can see that there's actually a war going on at the moment. There's a rebellion against the King of Brittany's rule, but he seems to be doing A-OK. And we've just upgraded our pavilion, which means that we can actually build another building. So we didn't have these options over on this side. I think these two had pretty much the same options, so I imagine that the two over here are going to have the same options. We're going to go for a mess tent, which will allow us to appoint a chief cook and carry out some camp revelry activity. Gonzal is still following us around. Our minds are our own, as if we'd welcome the meddling of outsiders. Bah! Silence, or you people will die. And we're on the road again. This is a fairly lengthy mission, taking us the length and breadth of the Frankish Empire. We could, if we wanted to, customize the route so that we travel through the capital, which will gain us some diplomacy lifestyle experience and some money. As we visit the Frankish capital, we have unlocked a new diplomacy lifestyle perk because of the points that we picked up there. Gonzal has stopped following us. That's great. That's fantastic. And for the diplomacy lifestyle, I think Eoin is going to go for a known name. Contract prestige rewards will go up 20%. We're not really going to be focusing here all that much. We're back to focusing on learning, and we're actually very close to getting Take the Custom Where It Comes. And we're going to continue down the scholar tree. We're going to continue telling the people, silence or die. You must stand by the rightful Christian ruler of Brittany. or face the fiery pits of hell. And as 2 members of our camp have a debate, including Giat the Bearded, by nodding along with the talk and presiding over the debates, we gain 2 diplomacy and 2 learning. We're heading for the very southern tip of the Empire. We need to avoid some risky areas. We're not going to head to Navarra just yet. We might make a trip there later on. So Teresa is taking over as the new Gonzal. We will again tell her to shut up. And it looks like we're going to succeed in the fight corruption contract and gain quite a lot of money. And our quartermaster position has been vacated. I'm not too sure why that is. He has left the court. Oh, he's become an aide to King Carloman's Marshal, Dungol, who joined us in Ireland. Has left us in France. He's gotten tired of all this travelling. It's taken its toll. He's 47. He's not a young man anymore. It's taken its toll on him. We've gained a hook on the Empress. Dungol, I think, is going out at the peak of our career. I'm going to restore Adela de Villiers to the position of Caravan Master. I actually had to replace her so that we would make it to that tournament in Italy in time. So she's back into the position that Dungol took from her. And after that lengthy journey of fighting corruption on behalf not alone of the King of Brittany but also the Empress, we return to our camp in Brittany. We have just built the mess tent, and with all the money that we have, I think we'll take a look at upgrading the barber's tent to help decrease plague danger. It's also going to increase our income as well. Not that we need it. And I was wondering what this devil was up to. Louis II, the Cathar Emperor, who was deposed, he has now converted to Catholicism. However, his heir at the moment is a Cathar. I think he actually managed to convert this region to the heresy. But for now, he's behaving himself. While he is, we'll see if we can recruit some people in the castle holdings to replace Dungol. We'll visit the local tavern. We'll see who's up for recruitment. And I think Eoin will continue to diversify the religious opinions of his followers by hiring Dimam, 18 Marshal, fairly high prowess, some interesting traits. So we will bring Dimam on board. And as we still await the end of the plague, we might as well make a travel south to improve a ruler's reputation. And his first day on the job, Dimam will be added as our musician to improve the reputation of the Count. And in the midst of this, as we improve the reputation of a Count, Eoin has completed the goal of learning a new language after endless hours of practicing. In perfect broken French, Eoin is now able to finish off this contract. We've managed to gain a hook on the Count. How very interesting. We have a long path ahead of us. So first, Eoin will return to Brittany, where that civil war seems to have ended, and there was a greater goal in learning French. The first thing Eoin will do is move the camp back to the court that he has just left. And just as we're about to depart, Flaherty, one of the more unscrupulous members of our party, says that he has learned a secret about the King of Brittany. I believe it is a secret relating to his religious beliefs. A secret would make an excellent story. Oh no, it's fine, he's just a deviant. So I said we were waiting in Brittany until the plague lifted in Wessex. We've began to move away temporarily from Brittany. We're going to try and convert this count to insularism. We will extol God's benevolence to get up to that 100%. We have a lot of piety. And I was going to then move the camp to the capital. of the Frankish Empire. However, there has been a bit of a development. The Empress's husband has died, and he has been succeeded as the Duke of Flanders by their son, the heir to the Frankish Empire and the current leader of the Cathar heresy. So what we're going to do instead, while we're in this region, is we're going to head south to settle theological disputes, again, that have broken out in Aquitaine, in the region of the strongest region of the Cathar heresy, deep inside Cathar territory. So Owen's plan had been head to Brittany, wait out the plague, travel across to Wessex. He has travelled more in France as part of his wait than he had before that. He travelled from Brittany all the ways down around this region, and now he's doing a huge tour of Aquitaine to deal with these theological disputes. And things are already off to a good start. Count Ebles has followed us into the light of Insular Christianity, which will strengthen a bit of Aquitaine. Duke Remnulf is telling us that people are laughing at him. We will do our best. We only have to get 2 successes for a qualified success. For now, it appears as though it is inter-Christian feuding that we are dealing with. Barrel is just leaving the church when I arrive. He is a Catholic monk and a righteous villain. We could share our interpretation because of our learning. Because of our level of devotion, we would increase Catholicism's fervour. Because of our level of fame, we would increase our fame further and get an automatic success, or we could beat the living daylights out of him. Well, in my experience, we travel on to another region and we find Barrel. He's a righteous villain. Barrel, have we met before? You look very familiar. We will discuss theological matters with him. We continue on and we find yet another Barrel. It looks like it's a very common name in religious circles. This is a different one, however, because he is an evil paragon and a Cathar heretic. We will share our interpretation with him. The 4th Barrel that we meet on our tours. This one is also a righteous villain, but also a Cathar heretic, so we can see that the heresy is spreading significantly in this region. We will again share our interpretation. I'm not going to lie, I've forgotten, is this Barrel number 5? This guy he's dyed his hair slightly since we were talking to him last time. The Cathar menace is indeed taking significant hold in the church. And the Duke is delighted, but the level of Catharism, the level of heresy that we have seen is quite worrying to us. The Lord has indeed guided our path. And instead of fighting the heresy, has Owen maybe accidentally strengthened it? Duke Ramnulf will not accept conversion to Insularism under any circumstances because he is the local leader of a heretical sect. He hasn't openly declared himself to be a Cathar, but he is now under suspicion as being one. And I think Owen is going to need to get out of Aquitaine because the Cathar heresy has too much of a grip on the region. And so as Owen travels north towards Normandy, do you know what we're going to do? We're going to take the legend of the most religious life of Master Owen. The devoted life that Master Owen lived has bestowed upon him an almost saintly status. Well, do you know what? Let's go for that saintly status. Just as we arrive in Normandy, we get another learning a lifestyle perk. We'll go for applied scholarship, which again, like I said, isn't going to be of immediate use to us. However, the increased seasoned trait experience, or the traveller trait experience, and followers will occasionally become inspired to write books. That's going to be of value to us. Now, I think it's only fitting that when we arrived on the continent, first of all, the first thing that Owen did was carried out an improve ruler relation task for Count Eckhart, and it looks like he needs health again. So we will travel to his court and assist him in his task before leaving. We do have a bit of a dangerous area here in the Strait of Dover, but before leaving for Kent. And no wonder the poor man wants his reputation increased. His health is ailing. As we're waiting for the task to complete, we're told that Duke Dag of Normandy has started promoting the legend of the most religious life of Master Owen. I've also started expanding the barber's camp because we're making a good chunk of money off of that, and it's entirely possible that we'll actually get rid of that negative debt if we can just keep cutting people's hair, travelling around, being religious and cutting hair. We're at 100% on the task, but we need 5 advantage. And with those 5 advantages, Owen is in a position to conclude his last contract on the continent for a while. And as Owen prepares to leave France, things have gotten much worse for the Empress. She is losing heavily in 2 wars against Norse claimants. There is one fighting against the tyranny of Empress Judith. There is another fighting for the conquest of a county. However, Louis II, the former Cathar emperor, has once again staked his claim. Now that he has converted back to Catholicism, he has once again staked his claim to the Frankish Empire. France is in flames. Owen already had to flee Ireland amidst upheaval and chaos, and he is now retreating from France amongst upheaval and chaos. Thankfully, the passage to Kent doesn't look too choppy. And this is what has brought him back to Kent, and this is also what guided his hand in learning French. He's going to pursue the insularist path. He is going to become zealous. He's going to gain some stress. And for the next decade, he will walk the path of a pious insular missionary with the ability to convert counties he visits to insularism. And there is, speaking the local language, increases the chance of success. God is great. Few are places on this earth where the power of God Almighty can be witnessed as in Kent. Blessed are the faithful who travelled here to feel his might. For most, this sacred ground is the end of their journey, the highest peak of their lives. But for Owen, it is only the beginning of his path. What a long and arduous journey it has been for Owen. He is now 50 years of age. He has fled the violent upheaval in Ireland and travelled, eventually, after many decades, to the Frankish Empire, which is now being torn apart as a result of the machinations of the Cathar heresy. This is the second civil war that we have seen as a result of the religious upheaval in the area, and he now has a decade in which to convert the Cathar holdouts, possibly spread insularism and make it a unifying faith of the Frankish Empire. And we can actually see that this has already started to happen in some of the areas that have come under the rule of individuals that he has converted to insularism, and also possibly as a result of the spread of his legend. As a bit of a test, I have moved the camp from Kent to Surrey, which is under the rule of the insular son of the King of Wessex. He's the heir to the throne, however he is a leper. So I'm not too sure whether he will have the health to actually inherit, but we're going to see if we can convert Surrey to the insular faith. Far away are the sacred grounds of Kent. They're not really, they're actually quite close by. We will gain the nickname, the Theologian. So we're going to lose the nickname, we'll lose the nickname, the Theologian, and we'll become the Missionary. We are now known as the Missionary. Now, we didn't actually make an attempt to convert Surrey, and we have departed from there. We have arrived in Normandy, and the path of the pious insularists is not an easy one. We can make an attempt to pray for Norman salvation. We have crossed the channel again into Normandy. We will gain some stress and make a combined diplomacy and learning challenge to convert the faith of Rouen to insularism. And we failed. What a terrible outcome this has been for Eoin, the missionary theologian. The theologian missionary? And he has suffered a mental break as a result of quite a lot of stress that has built up over the last while. By Saint Rouen, my followers have been relentless in their requests lately. He has tried desperately, and he has feared and worried about the safety of the soul of France. Duke Dag has recently stopped promoting his legend, and I think Eoin, in the deepest darks of misery and depression, is going to begin baiting the living daylights out of himself. And on a 51% chance, we've actually managed to convert the Duke of Normandy to insularism. I'm getting hyper-paranoid after seeing the trait by Ramnulf that he was a heretic, so I thought that we couldn't actually make any attempt against Duke Dag, but I was able to put together a couple of spend some piety, spend some money, and we managed to convert him to insularism, blessed be God. And from there, we begin to head south towards Ile-de-France, the former capital of the Frankish Empire, now the capital of the domain of Louis II, who is attempting to retake the empire, and we are now into Cathar territory. We're going to have to do something about this guy's stress levels, because even the 8th stress, if this is a success, will hit him and drive him into Stress Town. Thou shalt hearken to the voice of God. And so after many years of journeying and travelling and fighting for insularism, Eoin is finally able to take a bit of a break, and he needs it. He can't wait. Flaherty, who told us of the deviant nature of Ramnulf, has a sly smile as he thinks of a riddle. I have one eye, yet I cannot see. What am I? By rolling encyclopedia in Disco Elysium, we will tell him, easy, the answer is a needle. It's gonna make him a bit sad, lose some opinion with us. He's disappointed that we got the riddle so quickly. Look at the sly smile on this devil's face. He's trying to sell us a trinket, French about warfare, or maybe some fine regalia, this Cathar heretic, begone opportunist. Now, since we arrived here, Ile-de-France has fallen, or it has been seized by Pepin of Burgundy's forces, who is actually fighting for Empress Judith's claim to the kingdom of West Francia. I thought that Pepin was fighting to seize the empire itself, but he is actually fighting to place the Empress Judith on the throne, which could be helpful to her because she's in a pretty bad situation with a number of other wars that she's fighting. And indeed, Louis is fighting against her, but is utterly incapable of mounting any forces or putting together any challenge against her. These wars, however, are not going great. There is a Cathar uprising, and we have a war for a county, and somebody in Lancaster is trying to break away from her tyranny. So at the moment, I think even if those 3 wars are successful, and if she takes West Francia, it does look likely that her son, the Cathar Dutch ruler of Flanders, will succeed her as emperor of the Frankish Empire. So as Ile-de-France has fallen to Pepin's forces, we're going to withdraw to an area that is under the rule of an insular count who we converted a long time ago, and indeed he has finally managed to bring the entire county into insularism. And while moving our camp here means that we've learned of 2 new stewardship contracts, the only problem is that those contracts and our camp are now both within the Duchy of Anjou. And if you remember correctly, the Duke He's not the happiest with us. We managed to convert him to insularism, but he converted back. He was a fornicator, then became an adulterer, and he considers us to be a fugitive. Our lives are in danger, and I think Eoin is going to have to get out of the duchy as quickly as he can. It's going to be a rapid rush south to the capital of the Frankish Empire itself, which has fallen. Judith remains a Catholic, but her capital has fallen to the Cathar heresy. Let us pray for salvation. Eoin continues his game of Cathar whack-a-mole. You can actually almost follow his path from Kent down to the capital, which he has just converted to insularism. But we can see that the Cathar heresy has popped up in Brittany. We're not going to be able to traipse all around this region. We're probably going to head across here and try and bring these areas into the insular faith. And really, we're going to have to start thinking about a long-term solution to the religious conflict that has marred this area. We've just managed to convert Velay to insularism, and we're heading back to Triers. Our major problem is that we're able to convert the regions, however we can't convert the rulers because most of them are serving in armies in the spate of conflicts that has engulfed the Frankish Empire. And as we're wandering around, we find Gouchard, the Wolf Boy. He's in the middle of France, speaking Irish. I will train the boy. And he joined the camp at a good time because he might become inspired to write a book. And in this region that we've just converted, what suffering this woman has gone through. Her husband and 2 of her sons were killed in a siege in 892, just over a year ago. And her remaining son, the heir to the county, is now fighting in the wars that engulf the region. We will try and give her some solace in insular Christianity. And she has followed us into the light. As we can see, Eoin has done some Trojan work in spreading insularism. However, he has failed in a bid to convert a county and has failed in attempts to convert a number of rulers. And this has left him in a position where he has quite a high stress level. So we might want to take a break from the converting for a while, or possibly head for Normandy and actually solidify control, insular control over this region. We could actually go for that corner of Brittany as well. That's what we might do, is go in that direction. But the other thing he is looking for is contracts, because the constant moving from region to region to region is eating up quite a lot of provisions. Indeed, so upset is he with his most recent failure to convert a region that he's going to bait himself with a whip. That brings a severe health penalty and a loss of 34 stress. Ah, sweet, sweet pain. And as we travel towards Normandy, we travel through some of the besieged lands of King Louis II, and we're actually in a position to form a rivalry with him. And we also have a sickness in our herd of animals. 10% chance that only a few animals die, but we will lose 4 stress because we are zealous and praying to Jesus instead of getting medical aid for our animals. This is, I think, the 3rd night that Adela has met and recognized. Adela, you seem to recognize quite a lot of martial men throughout France. Make him join our court. And I actually just got the Band of Brothers achievement for having 10 people in the camp and everyone having a positive temperament. And so news of our happy camp is spreading, and Gargamel wants to join. We'll gain a small bit of stress. It'll counter the stress that we lost when we prayed instead of getting a vet. And finally, we reach Normandy. If we fail, it'll be 33 stress, and we'll gain 6 anyway. And we've managed to succeed. Owen has arrived in Normandy and has had a fairly good string of successes. He has converted a region to insularism, converted its ruler, and has found a solicit charity contract. Now there is another tooth or a child, but this is down in the Duchy of Anjou, which we are having some problems with. Owen could try and head in this direction and convert much of the rest of Normandy. The intention would be to leave the lands under the direct control of Duke Dag and hope that they will slowly convert to insularism. However, what we're going to have to do is head east, continue heading eastwards to try and put together a long-term solution to the problems that we have in this region. And a spate of people are converted along the way as we arrive. In the first place that we arrived on the continent when we travelled day one from Wessex, we have arrived in the Duchy of Flanders, and we will begin attempting to convert the region. It's a 90% chance. We were up to about 93, 94 for a while. I thought you divils would just write the books of your own accord. I didn't think that you wanted money from me. Now the problem is, Giat has become inspired to write a book. His health is poor, he's ailing, but he has no actual negative health penalties. Giat has been a good friend and physician. We will sponsor his inspiration. And as we are in Flanders, we are now in the realm of the Duke of Flanders, the heir to the Frankish Empire, the preeminent Cathar leader, or a man who has the potential to be the preeminent Cathar leader in Europe. And by pulling out all the stops, we can get a 78% chance to convert him. If it fails, I'm not too sure how long it'll take. And we don't have a hook on him at the moment. It looks like his mother is going to win the war to take West Francia, so she will have a kingdom title as well as the empire. And you can see that there's some land in England flashing. She actually has a good chunk of land there as well. So if this fails and a Cathar, Carol, comes to the throne, he would control West Francia, in which he would have the Duke of Anjou, who is a Cathar, and Aquitaine is where Catharism is actually spreading. So even though he wouldn't possess that, he would contain substantial Cathar vassals in West Francia, and in Aquitaine then there would be substantial Cathar land. We will put our faith in insularism, and we will attempt the conversion. And while we're trying that, we will attempt to convert the rest of the Duchy of Flanders, so that even if we fail, possibly it will entice him to convert later on. I imagine that Owen is attempting to show him how chaotic a Cathar emperor would be, and that he will be faced with rebellions, he will be faced with uprisings, he will be faced with attacks from outside enemies who will try to depose him. But if he converts to insularism, he can rule as one of the greatest emperors. And he has indeed decided to follow us into the light of insularism. Our only major problem now, having converted 2 counties, is that we've quite a lot of stress from increasing our chance to convert. So we'll have to see if we can engage in some camp revelry, which we can't do for a while. Do you know what? It's not a thing we've done before, but Owen is actually going to take a break in Flanders and engage in some hunting. Now, our major issue is that we actually don't have the right to hunt here, which makes a lot of sense. We could try to purchase the rights, but we'd gain stress because we're arrogant. We could hunt wherever we want. That would tremendously increase our chance, whereas everything else will just greatly increase our chance. We do have the ability to use our weak hook on the Empress to get the right to hunt here. I was planning on maybe trying to use that hook to convert her to insularism, but now that her son and heir has joined the insular faith, I think we can use this instead to gain some hunting rights. As we are out hunting, Owen comes upon some poachers. And because he is arrogant, he's going to lose stress. He's going to gain some provisions and money by allowing the poachers free, but they're going to have to give up their catch. Eoin does strike me as a bit of an arrogant individual, considering all that he has achieved in this region. Here is Giat, who should be writing a book, but instead he has come upon a raptor, a hunting raptor. We could either give it to him as a gift. I don't think he's going to survive 5 years, and like I said, he should be writing a book, so we will have it taken back to our muse. We begin to close in on our prey. We could proceed by stealth. We will gain some stress, but not much, and we've lost a good chunk, so we will do that because we don't want to take the more perilous route. And could this be an attempt on Owen's life? He has caused quite a lot of trouble throughout the Frankish Empire. An arrow has landed beside him. This must belong to someone. We have an intrigue challenge. Intrigue isn't Owen's strongest. Eoin and Flaherty descend upon the stag that they're hunting. We have a 50% chance, and we've missed. Now, we took up this hunt to lose some stress. We're told that a member of our camp has died under mysterious circumstances. Cardiff, I'm not too sure, I can't remember where we recruited them from, but they have died under mysterious circumstances. Now, we have managed to get stag antlers. I'm not too sure, is this from the animal that we took off of the poachers? I was thinking of giving it to Dungol, who is now an antiquarian in Aquitaine. However, stress gain minus 4%. We're going to keep it as a memento. So the murder of a member of our camp is quite worrying. We're going to continue moving for now and praying for Dutch salvation. And what a convert to insularism we have secured in Duke Carol, just as we move further into Flanders and fight the Cathar heresy, which we have saved him from. He now seeks fellow insularists, or willing sympathizers, who would negotiate with Louis II of West Francia for their religious protection. We will, of course, accept this task. A group of insularists enter our camp wishing to speak with me. They tell us that Duke Carol is a pious ruler who follows the Holy Scriptures. However, his liege, King Louis II, is an unbeliever. Oh, we know. And he cares little for our ways. We know that as well. In the name of God, we plead. Help us earn guarantees of religious freedom under his kingdom's reign. I think this is probably an attempted negotiation in the final days of Louis II's reign. Basically, they're just trying to secure maybe the freedom of prisoners. We don't have a hook on him. We could reason with it. Let's see if I can reason with a French. I thought it was reason with him in French. We'll go with this one. And by saying that we're here to earn, I think this is going to increase our base chance. So at the moment it's minus 35. But it doesn't make much of a difference, because with agents like this we can get to 100%, including our theologian, Gargamel the Heathen, who we recruited only recently. Realistically, I think Louis II is looking for any arrangement that will keep his head on his shoulders. We've concluded with 100% fairly quickly. Karl might be his vassal now, but one day he will be emperor, and it doesn't look like Louis is going to be able to hold on to West Francia for much longer. And it is a triumphant success, and somebody has turned the floodlights on full belt. The scheme is successful. The people of Bruges can rejoice. And indeed, the people of Bruges are actually the last Cathar holdout in this region. Eoin arrives with his converting sword to pray for their salvation. And as we arrive in Bruges and convert it to insularism, we are told that Gouchard, the wolf boy that we took as our ward, is pining for the fjords. Wait, just give me one more chance. 63% chance that he will stay with us. but the call of the fjords was too strong. We may have lost a feral Irish-speaking child that we found in the middle of France, but we brought converts to insularism along the way. This is what the insular world now looks like, centred on Canterbury. The various religious wars, which have broken out in the Frankish Empire, are nearing their end, and on the next and I think final episode, Eoin will see what work needs to be done to maintain a lasting peace. Thank you for joining me on this one, and if you find a feral Irish-speaking child in your garden, please make them a ham sandwich and maybe get some Barry's tea for them if you can.